All right, so here we are, video number 2 with the wild hair. Next video you see will not have as much wild hair, but that's not the point of the video today. We actually just got the brand new main hand essence that increases the overall damage of our primary or main attack by 32% currently. And now I do have it at Essence Mastery level 3, so it will go up once I get to Essence Mastery level 4, but still it's 32% increased damage to what has previously been doing the absolute most damage on this Blood Knight build. So let's get straight to it, guys. I'm really excited to test out these two different builds. Now again, because we changed the main hand essence, I did have to change some of the skills on the second build, but we'll talk about more of that just here in a second. Let's get straight to it. Now again, Cruel Vendetta is the one that I'm talking about. So it increases this is attached to our secondary main hand, increases Shadow's edge damage increased by 32%, which is pretty substantial considering that is our biggest damage dealer, which is our primary attack. Now, I didn't have to change anything else with this build. This is the build that I use sort of, again, like I've mentioned on several of my other videos, it's sort of like the starting point before I compare it to other videos, which is basically going to be the Shroud of Night single target raid / dungeon build. So basically, you've seen this build several times. We've got the Poison Bats for the pants, Siphon Blood helmet, the new shoulders, which focuses on the bats doing single target damage, spinning, fire, combust, whatever for the Whirling Strike, and then the two old offhands that do increase damage for your Shadow's Edge. I do not have the new offhand that allows you to increase attack speed with your Shadow's Edge. Obviously, that would be better than this one. Actually, is the one that I would change, the Hanging Chalice. So if you do have that new essence, replace this one because with a single target raid fight, you don't need the two ricocheting blades coming out. But let's go ahead and test it out. Now, if you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe. First off, smash the like video if you like these testing build videos. Thirdly, I will be doing this test build first, then I'll be jumping to the main build first, then I'll be going to the test build with the Mythic Cloud or whatever it's called with the new offhand or main hand. And then we'll be doing a compare and contrast of the two builds and why I think which one would be better for most raids. Now, let's get straight to it. And again, I have 30 seconds. And yeah, here we go. 1, 2, 3, and go. Make sure I'm close enough to be doing, yeah, there we go. Alrighty. I do like this new main hand. I would assume it would do a substantial amount more damage, but who knows? Be interesting to see. It's about maybe even a little less damage than I thought I was going to be doing. Interesting. Yeah, it's actually doesn't feel as strong as I thought. Interesting. Okay, pause. So 13.8. That's almost exactly what I did. Wow. Huh. It's almost exactly what I did last time I used this exact build, and I do have it equipped, so which is weird. Now, when I say, like, when you look at the breakdown, my main primary attack skill, my Shadow's Edge, does 44.4% of the damage. So in theory, I should be doing way more damage with, like, in general, because I am using this main hand. Very odd. Now, the only thing I lost by equipping this main hand was the fact that Siphon Blood will do that sort of combust after hitting the same target for 3 times, 5 times, whatever it is. So that's interesting. I'm tempted to do this again. I don't trust that data, so let's go ahead and run it back one more time. I don't know if I wasn't close enough in the beginning. You know what I mean? Because that's the thing with Shadow's Edge. If you're too far away, you end up doing far away damage, which does significantly less. So I'm obviously close now. We're going to go ahead and start it again. 1, 2, 3, go. All right, I'm obviously close enough. And that could have been it. I could have been, it's very misleading. That was one of my complaints with this Shadow's Edge build in general, is that it does tend to be less obvious when you are too far away and doing, these sort of far away damage. Instead of the close damage, it does a lot more. All right, again, we're not using our ultimate on purpose. It's going to be about the same, which is interesting. No, we're doing more. And pause. All right, so that did a little bit more. So I think the first few hits of that first round were just slightly misplaced, I guess you could say. So we're going to snippet this. And then we're going to try out the new build. Now, I do need to discuss the new build a little bit because it's different than the last one I did because we are switching up some of the essences. So again, I have saved this. I will pull it off on the other screen, and then we will compare and contrast after I show you guys the new build. All right, let's go to Armory, Test Build, Activate. So in case you're curious, we're still using Shadow's Edge, obviously. We're using Whirling Strike. We're using Umbral Lance. That's new. We're using Swarm of Bats, and then we're also using Mythic Cloud. Now, the reason we're doing that is, and we're still using Weaver, Reason is, if you go to our build, so with adding this new main hand to this build, it changed a lot. So instead of having the sort of dual damage from the two offhands, I instead went with just adding an additional skill that does damage. Now I did some testing, and the Umbral Lance now throws multiple spears and an arc, maximum charges ×2, does more damage, because even if 2 arcs, and I compared it to like Wave of Blood, especially because that was the one that I think does generally the most damage. I also did some testing with other essences for Umbral Lance, but this one does seem to do the most, and that's because it does 24k damage again for me. But if a second spike hits it, or a second spear hits it, it does, yes, 70% less damage, but that's still more damage than what I would have been doing with Wave of Blood. They still have the same amount of cooldown, which is 9 seconds, and they both do 24k damage. So the fact that you have 2 charges for both is fine. At least the essence I was using for Wave of Blood. They both do the same amount of damage, but if even one other spear hits when I'm close enough, which I should be if I'm using Shadow's Edge, then this one is doing more damage. So again, the Mythic Cloud is going to be buffing my attack speed due to the sort of head and pants. So the head is the new one, the Maw of the Pursuer. Mythic Cloud releases a red blood mist that choke enemies to death and continually dealing damage to enemies within the area, while also increasing your damage done while you remain inside. Mythic Cloud damage increased by 12%. And then the pants is the new ones as well. Mythic Cloud also increases your primary attack speed by 30%. Mythic Cloud cooldown reduced. So let's get straight to it. I'm very, very curious where this build will land. Now, the first thing I'm going to obviously do is get close. And in terms of a rotation for this build, this one does actually matter which skills you do and when. I'm going to basically burn through my Whirling Strikes as well as my Umbral Lances before I hit my bats, and then I'll go into my Mythic Cloud, because the bats go really well with my auto attacks, and so does the Mythic Cloud. So that's what it's going to look like. So if you see me do like 1 2 1 2 and then 3 4, that's why that rotation is what it is. Now let's go ahead and get straight into it. The damage goal here is 14.3 in 30 seconds. Damage per second is 476k. So we'll see what we do. All right, and here we go. All right, so we burn through everything else. See how much damage we do. It's very, very noticeable that we're doing more damage and a faster attack speed when we are in the cloud, for sure, no doubt about it. Now, this is where the build gets a little interesting. So I have almost 100% uptime on my bats, but they don't necessarily offset super well with that. So with the cloud, so there was a little bit of drag time in between the two. All right, and time 14.6. So this does do more damage still, which is very interesting. When I come over here and compare the two builds, so 30 seconds, this one did 300k more damage. So apparently it's still better to be using this build, which is not at all what I thought it was going to be. I really thought the first one had more consistent damage. And I was also worried when I was middle of the fight, the fact that the Mythic Cloud and the bats don't line up on cooldown that well. But because I have such good benefit, or the buff, what is it called? I can't even think right now. I'm so tired. Like Vithus, increase the duration of all beneficial effects. Because I have a 2-piece Vithus, and I had the same build, set items for all of it, but because I have so close to 100% uptime on the bats, it's actually not that noticeable. So 300k more damage is pretty awesome. And obviously, it does what? Whoops. It does about 11k more damage per second. So, yeah. I mean, this is going to be doing more damage over a longer period of time because it does more DPS. So very interesting build. I will be switching this to my main build, actually, and that's very interesting. So obviously, the things that I would change in this build once I do get the offhand, I would, and that's the thing, man. I would probably keep this one, and then I would still change this, the one that increases my Umbral Lance. I would probably change that to the new offhand that increases your primary attack damage, and I don't know what other skill then I would use. So in case you're curious what I'm talking about here, so I would change this offhand to the brand new one, which is, whoops, you're not going to see it there. Extract offhand. To this one, the Moon Call. So Shadow's Edge also increases your primary attack speed by 10% for 2 seconds, stacking up to 3 times. Shadow's Edge damage increased by 6%. Again, just more damage and more attack speed. That's why we would want that one. But now that means that, I could change my chess piece, theoretically. Oh, you know what? And obviously, this is probably very obvious to most of you by now. So if I had the new chess piece, which I don't have yet, I could do Shroud of Night. Now conjures 2 immobile shadowy apparitions that utilize the primary attack to assault nearby allies. Shroud of Night cooldown reduced by 4%. Interesting. So now, actually, though, when I say that, I could switch off of Swarm of Bats and do that now. So let's go ahead, and this is not a great test because I don't have the new offhand, but I will test this when I get the new offhand. But let's say I change off of the Swarm of Bats and do the Shadowy Knights one, the one that buffs you and your friends and all that, this one. So let's say I remove Umbral Lance altogether and instead just focus on buffing. That's an interesting idea. I've not tested that yet. So we'll do this. We'll keep it there. That's fine. Now that's interesting. So what was the... Oh, no. I already reset it. And I closed everything. So you'll see on the video, I think it was like 14.6 is what I saw for total damage. Let's see what this one does. I'm actually very, very curious. Make sure I changed everything that I need to. So we'll do a Mythic Cloud and the Shroud. So we're buffing. Yeah, obviously this would do more damage with the new offhand, but I don't have that yet. Same with the chess piece. It would obviously probably change the damage, but maybe do more, maybe do less. Let's see. Ready, set, go. I don't have to worry about, switching anything too much because it's basically doing all the same damage of buffing except for my burn there. So everything else I just want to keep up as much as possible. Wow, I actually think this is doing a lot more damage. Huh. Who would have thought? 6 more seconds. I think we're definitely going to be over 14. Maybe even to 15. Yeah, 15. Wow. Dang. Okay, so this did almost 1 million more damage. Holy moly. Okay, so basically what that tells me is the more you focus on just primary attacks in this build, the better. So almost everything I do, with the exception of this one, which is my Red Concord. I want to change it again. So Whirling Strike now can bust, causing enemies to burn while Whirling Strike damage increased. So I wonder now we're getting a little crazy. So that takes away my auto attack because I can't auto attack, where everything else is buffing my auto attack in some capacity. So I wonder if we change the pants. Oh God, we're going full buff mode. So what if we change? How long is this? This is gonna be a longer video, but whatever. What if we take this off and do Skewer? So the Skewer actually jumps to the air and slams the location. We'll take away the Ricochet and add the buff to Skewer, which is buffing me by 16%, which we take by 4 seconds. Okay. What if we do this instead? And then I also want to take a screenshot real quick. It already changed. Fuck. 15.7 is what I feel like I said. You guys will obviously know because it's on the video. But we're going to try this build now and see if this full-on buff build is doing more damage. Now, again, the offhand would be different. I probably wouldn't use this at all. I don't know. Well, we'll try when we get the new offhand, but let's see. 15.7 is what I feel like I said, but let's see. Ready, set, go. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. This could do a ton of damage. It could do not a lot of damage. I don't know how much damage the overall Skewer is doing, but I mean, the 10% damage increase on top of everything else feels like it would be really good. So we'll see. Yeah, I don't know. Can't tell if I'm doing more damage or not. 22 seconds left, and I'm already at 13. 4 seconds. No, yes. All right. So I stopped. Okay, yeah, this is a little bit more damage. So what that tells me is when we get the new, and I stopped that like right at 30 seconds. So I probably could have done another ability or two. Essence Mastery. So what that tells me is, what does it tell me, man? What does it tell me? So when I get the new offhand, I would obviously switch out the Skewer one for that. But what other main hand can you use? I mean, you could go back to the Whirling Strike. That's really it, though, right? Because Siphon Blood won't work anymore because of the head that we're using. I don't know. That'll be interesting. Very tough. Tough to say. I'll have to do some testing when I get that other offhand, because honestly, I'm very surprised with the damage that we're doing with this build. I'm going to go ahead and save this, believe it or not, as my new raid build. That's pretty crazy to say, not going to lie. But that's going to do it for today's video, guys. It was a little bit longer. I ended up doing twice the test that I thought I was going to do. So let me know what you think about this data and what build that you're finding works best for the Blood Knight with these new essences, especially if you have all of them. Because honestly, I think the other main hand is what is going to throw me for a loop the most. I think everything else makes sense with the new build except for the other main hand. So let me know what you think in the comments below. And until next time, lock it in.